Alive is a very good place to be.
There we are. We are live. Who knew? Let's kick this off, and we will teach you all about caching in the Northwest. Oh, you found us. It's Thursday night, and we like to say welcome to Caching in the Northwest. This is the only podcast dedicated to geocaching in the Great Pacific Northwest. We'll talk about caches and cachers unique to this little corner of the country. So clean out your gold pan and sluice box. It's time to go caching in the Northwest. And we can't do that without bringing in our heavy metal monkey. Some say his favorite phrase is, "Hey, you." And others say he hoards shiny objects. All we know is he's called Land Monkey.
Hey, you. Hey, guys. And hey, look, it's somebody else. Who's that joining us?
Hey, Wits End made it after all. Whether you wondering where I was, we're making history here tonight on Caching in the Northwest, aren't we?
Definitely. We're still on the west coast of North America, all three of us.
This is true. This is true.
However, for the first time ever that I know of in a geocaching podcast, so it's the first time ever, we're having hosts from three separate countries on a podcast at one night. So
yeah,
with Land Monkey being in Canada, I'm in the U.S., and Wits End being in Mexico.
I'm in Mexico. Bienvenidos from Mexico. I'm down visiting some family this week. Getting a little family reunion in and staying with my in-laws, having a good time. But I wanted to take a few minutes and say, hey, I can't quite stay with you for the whole podcast tonight, family obligations and all. But I did want to say, hey, I miss you guys, and I know it's going to be a fantastic episode talking about Gold Country, right?
Exactly.
It is.
Exactly. It is. We have to ask: have you been able to find a geocache in Mexico, giving you more countries than me or? Well, not Land Monkey yet.
Well, not this trip. There aren't. I actually did look them up. There's not a lot right where we're staying here, and I don't have a car. I came down with catching a ride from my in-laws, so haven't found one this trip. But I do have one find in Mexico in the past, and Land Monkey will be proud. It is an earth cache, so there you go.
Good job. In fact, I'm actually kind of curious between what the distance would be from the furthest north, which would be Terry, our guest tonight, to our furthest south, which would be Jim. I'm wondering what kind of geographic distance our podcast covers tonight. So we'll have to maybe plot that out in the after show tonight.
Yeah, well, with Canada and Mexico both being the extremes, it would have to be a distance in kilometers.
Well, that's true.
So, because all those speed limit signs down here are, 3 digits in some places, which is really nice to see.
You get to go faster.
Well, people driving 3 digits up here.
Yeah, but it's not quite the same.
Oh, I thought they only give you 1 digit when they're driving up there.
Well, that's true. That's when the bad cop's driving.
Yes. If you're not driving at 3 digits, they give you 1 digit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's when I'm driving down here and I have to look at the little numbers on the speedometer.
Awesome. So. Well, hey, Wits End, thank you for joining us and bringing a little Mexican flavor to the show tonight. Awesome. Fantastic. Hey, listeners, we want to, as always, thank you, welcome you to the show, and those who are live in the Q&A. We also want to thank our Denali level supporters. That would be Limax and the Mount Vernon Parks and Recreation Department. Hey, if you want to know more about supporting the show, make sure you click on the Patreon link on the CachingNW.com website. So, that all said, tonight we are going to talk about the Taste of the Valley and, wait, there's more, the Gold Country Geo Tour. So we are bringing back, and we already gave you a little bit of a sneak peek there, but we are bringing back to the show one of our absolute favorite guests, Gold Country Cacher Extreme, Terry Hadwin.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Well, thanks for coming back and talking to us once again about the Gold Country. But Wits End, what time is it?
Well, it's not quite time for the after show, which I just have to say, there you go. If my family all turns in early, I just may join you for that after show. But I'm going to bow out and tell you that before I get going, why don't you guys start glowing, okay?
Thank you very much. You know, we call this segment the Glow, or the Geocaching Log of the Week. So whether it's yours or not, maybe you read it while you were in Gold Country. We want to hear about it. Send an email to feedback@cachingnw.com. You can call in to 253-693-TFTC, or you can use the voicemail tool on the website and show us how you glow. So before we get into that, Terry, would you like to tell us about some of your glows or some of your great geocache logs that you've read?
Gosh, there's been so many, and some of them make us laugh. So we thought that we would share some of our favorite geocaching logs and put them on a Facebook page that we have, which is called the Gold Country Geo Tour Log of the Week blog. So if you're ever wanting to read some really good material, that's a great place to go. I know there's some poems on there. One of my favorites happens to be about a guy going caching in the middle of summer, climbing a really steep, hot hill and stepping on some cactus, getting to the top, finding the cache, and then coming back down to his buddy down below, and then she asked if he had gotten the stickers, and he had to climb all the way back up to collect those stickers. So he liked Gold Country a lot that day.
Wow. He got stickers, but of a different kind.
Yeah, different sets. Yeah, no kidding. Well, hey, we have selected for the show tonight one of the Gold Country cache logs as our glow or geocache log of the week. And this one is from Chip846, who found GC3P2XW. That's Pavilion Lake, one of my favorite caches in Gold Country. And we'll talk in the after show about some of my fun experiences at Pavilion Lake on my recent trip. That said, Chip846 writes, found with Hujar while on holidays from Australia. This cache location was absolutely divine. I absolutely had to stop here. I am currently studying science and couldn't go past seeing a lake that is so unique. Sadly, I couldn't see anything from the surface, but I was expecting that. We had to go for a swim in the clear blue waters. I couldn't believe how deep I swam out and could still see the bottom in the twilight. Listening to the coyotes howling around the hills as the sun went down below the hills, this was one of my favorite experiences from the trip. Thanks for placing the cache here and putting the time into the research. Loved every bit. Cheers! And we'll have a link to that blog and that cache in the show notes.
Yes. And, you know, maybe in the after show we'll talk more about Pavilion Lake. There's some interesting things going on there. And maybe that's a bit of science that attracted him.
Could be.
Now,
so do we have... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, we got more feedback. This time it's from Billy Robson, who recorded it using the voicemail tool on the website. See? I told you it still works, right? I checked it out last week. But here's Billy.
Hi, guys. Great podcast. Thanks a lot. Billy Robson from Vermilion, Alberta, Canada, the land of elbow and prime ministers. Just wanted to say thanks to the bad cop for his tips that he gave me on places to see and caches to do in the Midwest on my road trip. I managed to do 4,400 kilometers in 7 days and found 120 caches, mostly virtuals, where I goes, earth caches, and a couple of webcam caches. Some of the stops that were really good were especially the GC12, GC17. Beautiful hike, super place, super view, and it didn't rain. Bit of a disappointment not being able to do Goblin Dust's caches in Seattle and Portland. The one in Portland was out of commission. But I done the rest, and I managed to do the Tunnel of Light. So I had a great time, drove home in the rain. Thanks a lot for the show.
Fantastic.
There you have it. Sorry, I got a little happy with the buttons there.
That's all right. We don't mind.
So we got to hear a little bit about Billy, but what about the rest of the week caching for your folks? Terry, did you go out and do some caching?
Not this week. I went last weekend in the Shuswap. I took a couple days of the May long weekend, exactly the May long weekend, and went to Blind Bay. Went for a nice big long hike with a gradual incline, which is always my favorite. Amazing view at the end, and yeah, I probably wouldn't have made it up to that part if I hadn't had a cache and goal in hand. So yeah, it was great to get us up there.
Love it. And what about you, Land Monkey?
Well, you know, before I jump in there, I think Terry, was there anything coming up this weekend that you might be doing?
That's right. Thank you for reminding me. So tomorrow I'm heading to the BCGA camp out, and then the AGM is the next day. So heading to Fintry Provincial Park to do a little bit of camping with some fellow geocachers and have a great time.
Fantastic.
Well, we know the BCGA is the British Columbia Geocaching Association, but what's the AGM?
The annual general meeting. So that's where we get the membership together, and to be a BCGA member is free. So it's definitely worth doing. You get to learn a lot about what the organization is doing and events being put together and that sort of thing. They also have a really great GPS loan out program that they have together. So yeah, we just get together yearly to discuss matters, and usually it's just more or less to have fun, as geocaching should be.
I completely agree with that. Thank you. Okay, Land Monkey, it's all you now.
It's all me. Well, hey, before I jump into our most recent geocaching adventures, Brian Lang did post and it just disappeared.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I put that up there.
All right. But we'll put the GC code for the BCGA campout and AGM in the show notes for those who are going to do a last-minute run up there, and because they want to hang out with Brian Lang and Terry. All right. So that said, another crazy rain hike this past weekend. Once again, organized by a friend of the show, Three Hams and a Rose. As it turns out, this past weekend was the most rain in one day we've had so far this year, and in fact, it was the most rain in the month of May in the past something like 10 years in the Lower Mainland. So crazy amounts of rain, and we went for a hike anyways. Basically hiked all day. It was a whole bunch of us. Hey, Three Hams and a Rose just popped into the show there. So yeah, he organized that one. Brian Lang was out there. Just a few of us who sort of tend to go out hiking together. Had a great time. Found a whole bunch of geocaches. Yeah, we'll talk about that probably a little more in the after show as well. But also just want to give a little bit of a spoiler. We took a bunch of footage on that hike, and we're going to put together a special Land Monkeys geocaching adventure video for our patrons.
Nice. And Brian Lang, thank you so much for being in our research department. You again posted the GC code for the BCGA. There's a lot of similar letters in there. Camp out. And that is GC 6 Foxtrot 0 Delta Delta.
Well done, Bad Cop. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you. I've got a cheat sheet in front of me.
And speaking of events, for those who listened to last week's The After Show.
The After Show.
There you go. We want to remind you that you can still sign up for the Mount Vernon Parks 2016 GeoCoin Challenge. That's we'll have that information in the show notes as well. And remember, listen to the podcast from last week to hear all about that awesome event as well. And if you are coming, there's now an extra event going on there. If you are coming, join the Caching NW hosts at 1 p.m. at the front. There's a building called the Front. It's a little art gallery where they are going to have the noon session there. At 1 p.m., we are going to have a meet and greet event with your host from Caching NW. So come on by and join us for that. Now, go ahead, Bad Cop.
I was going to say, we're going to do a little bit of a show there. I don't know how long it'll last. I know, I believe we have the building for the rest of the day. But
do they have Wi-Fi there? Like, could we actually stream live?
I can definitely stream, for my devices, so we can find a way to stream live if there's not Wi-Fi there.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
So,
all right.
Yeah. So we're going to record a bit, and that's going to be some of our first patron material for those wonderful people that are supporting us, and we appreciate each and every one of you.
Fantastic. We're putting together some fantastic patron material lately. That's going to be great. All right. Enough about us. Let's get to today's guest and our topic, geocaching in Gold Country. So, first off, perhaps you can tell our listeners a bit about your role at Gold Country Geotourism, Terry.
All right, so I am the Chief Operating Officer, or the COO, the COO of Gold Country Community Society. We're a nonprofit that promotes tourism to an area that's about 9,000 square miles big, and it's mostly rural communities within the interior of BC. And we have a lot of programs that we utilize to bring visitors into our area and help support our local economies. So, it includes a website to help you plan your trip, which is exploregoldcountry.com. We have a visitor guide, we have trail guides, we have maps, and we have our very popular geocaching program. Our geocaching program is the first and largest of Canada, so that's a pretty big deal. It was the first 4 geotours ever set up on geocaching.com.
Wow, I didn't know that. Now, I knew you were the largest in Canada. I didn't realize not only the first in Canada, but the first anywhere.
Yeah, the very first 4. I think we were all released together, the first 4.
Nice. So, now, Terry, you've been on the show a couple of times, but there's people who are listening for the first time. Could you tell them exactly where is Gold Country, in a fuzzy sort of sense?
Sure, yes. So, like I said, we're about 9,000 square miles big. We go north to 76 Mile. We go west to Lillooet, east to Cherry Creek, which is just before Kamloops. We go south just past Merritt and just past Lytton on the other route, and all of the communities in between.
Wow, love it. That is big.
Yes, yeah, and we have 142 of our geotour caches set up basically on every single corner, so we will keep you busy for a while when you come to visit us.
That is true. That is true. And I was going to say if you plan it well, you can get it done in a couple of weeks. But you know what? I think it's better to spread it out over a couple of years and just make a lot of visits up there, different seasons, and it's just such an amazing place. But Terry, how did you first start geocaching, or how did you learn about geocaching?
The first time I had ever heard about geocaching was from my sister's husband. And he was just saying, I really want to go geocaching. And I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. And he said, oh, it's this thing where these volunteers hid these containers all over the town, and you go and find them, and there's stuff like little army men and marbles to trade inside. And I was like, oh, that sounds great. I thought that it was exclusive to Kamloops. So I didn't realize that it was worldwide, and and then I moved to Ashcroft a few years back, and it was when they had just gotten their announcement of funding from their various funders, and it was all in place to set up the second phase of geocaching, and I got started, and my very first cache was the Cache Creek hub, so I think that's pretty fitting that I was caching in Cache Creek.
Oh yeah, we always love telling people when we're caching in Cache Creek. That's awesome. It's a lot of fun.
It's kind of an inception thing, isn't it?
That's right.
Bryling says many of the caches aren't on the corner. They're tens of miles into the backcountry.
Thanks for that, Brian.
But that gets a little ahead of our next question. So now we know where Gold Country is, but some of our folks aren't familiar with the Gold Country Geotour. Can you explain how it is, how it works? You said there were 4 of them, right?
There's 142 caches in our area, and the geotours are on geocaching.com. I think there's around 30 odd geotours now, and they're all over the world. And yeah, we set ours up in a couple different phases. So in 2009, we got started. So that was even before geocaching.com had anything called a geo tour. And what makes our geo tour unique is we have sets of 72 geocaches where you go and you find them, and you get to find out something really awesome about the exact spot that you're standing, whether it be something of historical value or a geological wonder. You're going to get to learn something about the area that you're visiting. Sometimes some of our themes are pioneers, or even feature films have been shot in that location, which is a pretty cool little spin on it. Yeah, and then when you find any 24 of our geocaches, you collect stickers in all of them. You collect any 24 stickers, you send that to us, and we send you a souvenir trackable gold bar.
Wow.
Yeah.
A real gold bar. That's amazing.
That's right. Hey, and if you time it really well, you can actually get your gold bar in person. But I think you have to be a minor geocaching celebrity and pull some favors. I don't know. It worked out well for us, though.
Yes, actually, we're managing the Cache Creek Visitor Center. So if you are in town on during the right time, and during the summer, we're open 7 days a week, and so yeah, you can stop on in, and we'll give you your souvenir right then and there. Save us some postage, and we get to see smiling faces.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Hey, Terry, are there any events associated with Gold Country this year?
Yes. So this year will be the 4th annual Gold Country event, and this year we're partnering with BCGA, British Columbia Geocaching Association, which we're really very excited about. They've been a great team member to have on board, helping us plan the event. And so yeah, it's a 4-day event again this year. It starts in Lillooet, goes on to Loon Lake, and then Clinton, and then we end in Cache Creek.
Nice. And there's 4 days of events? So
there's 4 days of events.
That's amazing. We will have those GC codes on our website. They're all very similar. So we won't repeat them here. Actually, in the show notes, not on the website. They'll be in the show notes, which is found on the website. Now, so you've got 142 caches spread all around Gold Country. But I understand that's not enough for you.
That's right.
There's something new. There's a new cache series in a Geo Tour. Could you tell us about that one?
Well, it's not brand spanking new. It's been around for a few years, but it is a great complement to the Gold Country Geo Tour. It's called Taste of the Valley, and it is in the Merritt and Nicola Valley area, and it was set up by the Family and Youth Resources, I think. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. But basically what it was a group of elderly people and a group of youth got together, and they interviewed each other and came up with stories of how they view Merritt and what they remember of Merritt and the Nicola Valley. And they created a book with these interviews and recipes and coordinates to brand new geocaches. So they just put it all together and made a wonderful, wonderful book, and the proceeds goes towards the Merritt Family and Youth Resources Center, I think. So yeah, it goes to a good cause, and you're gonna love it. My very, very favorite is the very first recipe, which is a calf brain soup recipe, and it's nothing that I ever want to actually try, but it's very, very interesting and worth a read.
There you go. Yeah, I think if I was making it, it'd be called half brain soup, but that's awesome.
Very good recipe for bannock in there. So if there's one that you're wanting to try, there you go. There's the bannock.
On that note, there's one of my favorite stops when I drive through West Bank on the way into Kelowna is the Bannock Cafe.
Isn't it amazing? Kakuli. And their tagline is, "Don't panic, we've got bannock."
That's the one. That's the one.
Okay, guys. I don't know what bannock is.
Terry?
No? It's a fried bread done in a traditional manner, like the First Nations have been making it for a very long time.
Like an unleavened bread that's fried. Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Amazing.
It is good. Hey, not that this is a problem for the land monkeys, but it could be for some other people. If a geocacher's significant other isn't so much into geocaching, like I said, not a problem for us. But is there anything in Gold Country for folks who have become geocaching widows?
There's plenty to do. So Gold Country has a top 10 list of activities to take part in while you're in the area. Number one just happens to be geocaching, go figure. But we list a few other great activities just as sampling really of what we have to do in the area. So I mean, there's great fishing. One of the taglines that's a lot of the locals know is a lake a day as long as you can stay. And so there's lots of fishing, golfing, bike riding, lots of wildlife viewing just along your trip. Great campsites, great B&Bs, hotels. Yeah, you name it. There's tons to do, and shopping, of course.
Nice. For those of us looking to make a visit, what do we need to prepare for the geocaching in Gold Country? Now, I say this because I've seen Land Monkey's videos, and he seems to need a 4x4 snake bite kit, mosquito repellent, snowshoes, but most of all, Mrs. Land Monkey. So, if we don't have all that, what's the minimum we should have to go geocaching in Gold Country?
Okay, well, if you're planning your accommodations and where you want to eat and all those good things, definitely visit our website, exploregoldcountry.com. That gives you a listing of all of the places that you can stay and eat, and it's really handy because you can search by a map, so you know the area that you're staying in and you know where you may end up by the evening, I suppose you could say, when you're finding just one more. So
the
that's
just like we do.
So that's always really handy. We also have a visitor guide, and if somebody prefers the textile, something in their hands, and they really want to look at the pictures and all that kind of stuff, we're happy to mail somebody a copy of our visitor guide so that they can really dive deep into it and find all of the great events that we have in our area. All that fun stuff is in our visitor guide as well as on our website. So yeah, however they want to view it. We're also on social media and on just about any capacity that you can think of. So another great thing about being prepared for geocaching is our geocaches have really great descriptions. So they'll let you know if you need a 4x4 to go on a road. Like we don't hide that stuff. If we feel that people really do need a more experienced vehicle, I guess you could say, something with already some BC pinstriping, I guess you could call it. We do let people know about that, and we always ask that people be completely over-prepared with what they're expecting to take with them. So if they think that they're only going to be an hour, to take plenty of water, lots of sunscreen, insect repellent is almost a must just about anywhere, and definitely be prepared for wildlife. I've been chased by a bear while I was out geocaching, so you want to be prepared for the critters that you might find in BC.
Wow. Yeah, that's important. Now, we've got listeners who are south of you, apparently all the way down to Mexico. So for them, it's important that you pack your passport.
Yes.
As IHAM has said. Oh, and he also says take a towel. You always have to have a towel.
I would throw in there things, if you're going, in all seriousness, if you're going geocaching in Gold Country, thick-soled shoes. As soon as you are off the trails looking for one of these geocaches, whether it's a Gold Country geocache or just another geocache, and there are thousands of geocaches in Gold Country, not beyond the actual collector stickers to get your coin. There's so many, and so many are in so many awesome places. But there is a lot of this specific type of cactus. I don't know what it's called, Terry, you might, but it grows low to the ground and has really tall spines.
They sometimes call those jumping cactuses because they seem to like jump right out off of the ground right at you, that you didn't even come near them, and they just want to come home with you.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say thick-soled shoes, and as Terry said, water, lots of water, especially in the summertime. you know, it's what are they called? High desert terrain.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, so it can be surprisingly dry. You don't think it's as dry as it is because it doesn't feel hot.
it feels hot.
Well, I mean, but not, you know, you're not like hot in a desert. Well, maybe you are. Yeah, you are. Never mind.
Yeah, some parts of Gold Country are in a desert, so yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
There you go. Hey, I'm going to guess that most people who come to Cache in Gold Country are visiting. They're out of town. So, Terry, I think you've touched on it a little bit, and I'm going to take this opportunity to put a quick plug in before I ask you the question, which is when we came last time, while we did spend most of our nights camping, on the last night when it was pouring rain, we checked into the Bear Claw
Lodge.
Lodge. Thank you. I was going to say, it's not a hotel. What is it? The Bear Claw Lodge. Loved it. Absolutely loved our stay there. Price is super reasonable. The staff, amazing. And, you know, it really well kept, neat little place. So, you know, if you're going to be in the Cache Creek area, stay at the Bear Claw Lodge. But that aside, so there's my little plug for the Bear Claw Lodge. If somebody is visiting, how should they look into planning accommodations for their visit?
Yeah, the best place is exploregoldcountry.com, and really, if they're needing extra help, if they can't navigate the website so well, they can ask for our visitor guide. We're happy to mail them to them, or just give us a call. We want people to come and visit, and we're willing to spend the time to walk them through the experience. And like I said, we're nonprofit. We don't get any money from the hotels exclusively, so we're not going to send you to a place just because they're paying us to. We want you guys to have a great time while you're here.
But you should go to the Bear Claw Lodge if you're going to see
Do they have certain pastries in the mornings that are called Bear Claws?
They have great pie. I think I remember. I think I've had pie there before. We had a Gold Country event there actually a couple years ago.
Very cool. Very cool. Hey, so here's another good geocaching question. What are the most recommended caches in Gold Country?
Well, what's really great about the geo tours on geocaching.com is you can see all of the most favorited points, which is really quite handy. I really like that about the geo tours on geocaching.com. Our top two are always, and consistently, it's always neck and neck, is the Painted Chasm and the hub, the Cache Creek hub, because people are along the highway and they want to cache in Cache Creek, and the Painted Chasm is very similar to the Grand Canyon. A lot of people call it the most northern experience of the Grand Canyon because that's exactly what it looks like, and people are just awestruck by it. Mine, however, I am in love with Cougar Point. It's my absolute favorite Gold Country geocache. It took my breath away the first time I was up there, and yeah, just love that spot.
Yeah, I think the drive, if you come from the reaction ferry, the drive up to Cougar Point will take your breath away.
I haven't done that ferry yet. That's still on my to-do list. I still have 17 Gold Country geocaches to do, so I'm a little bit behind the times. Like some of these people, they finished it within a week. So yeah, I know. I feel like I'm letting them down, but I also don't want it to end. It would be almost bittersweet. So yeah, it's always more to find.
Absolutely, yeah. And Cougar Point is amazing, just an amazing view. Definitely worth driving out there for that one. Boy, you know, we have so many favorites. One of the other ones, I was just trying to think of the name of it while you were talking. It's the big rock with the multicolored intrusions that are going through it.
There's Balancing Rock. That one's a popular favorite, where there's like a hoodoo with a humongous like egg-shaped rock. Oh, maybe you're thinking of Botany Rock. It's
yes.
Like a face.
Yes, I always call it Botany, but yes, Botany Rock. That's the one. Yes.
Yeah, that's another beautiful one. Yeah, when you're driving along it on the highway, you think that's amazing, and then when you get up close, it's really amazing.
It is. It's absolutely spectacular, and we timed it well that whatever those yellow flowers are that grow near where the cache is were all out in bloom when we got there. It was just amazing. Yeah.
Dandelions.
No, a little bigger than dandelions.
Okay.
But,
I think they call them brown-eyed Susans.
okay, there you go.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, I mean, so many of the caches in the Gold Country series, Series 1 and Series 2, are so worthy of favorite points just because you guys have specifically chosen locations that either have a geographical or historical significance. And so whether you're into history, whether you're into geology, whether you're into just beautiful scenery, there's something for everyone, I think, in the Gold Country area.
That's what's great about taking those non-geocachers with you that still love the story, right? So you give them the book, you go and find your geocache. When you come back, they tell you all about where you were just standing. Oh, that's great. We're on to the next one. No, I'm just kidding. Everybody loves the story.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, if somebody was interested in learning more about geocaching in Gold Country or attending the events, where could they go, Terry, to find more information?
Well, we are just so very blessed to have 2 websites. So if you're planning your trip, you're going to go to exploregoldcountry.com. And if you're looking at our geocaching specific events and activities, then you would go to goldtrail.com. And that's where you'll find all kinds of great things about every single one of our geocaches. We also talk about if you find all 72 of a certain phase, you get a puzzle coin. We talk about our events. We let people know where they can find our geocaching guides online. So if they're wanting to pick up the books, then they know exactly where they can stop to pick up those guides where they can read the stories.
On that note, just maybe throw another question in for you, Terry. I'll try and catch you off guard. Are there any of the geocaching retailers that sell the Gold Country books, or is it only through you guys?
There is, yes. Worldcaching.com sells it, and we're very grateful for that because it takes a little bit of extra office time from us having to ship them, and because they're usually shipping them along with other items, so they send them out for us, and they're just so great. I love worldcaching.com.
Love that. Well, Terry, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We really appreciate it. I mean, what a fabulous set of geocaches is Gold Country. We've learned about another set tonight in the Taste of the Country. So thank you for joining us tonight. Land Monkey, if people wanted to find you online, where would they go and look?
Oh, gosh. We just don't have any online presence whatsoever, so you're just not going to find us.
Okay, well, if you were looking for me, no.
No, hey, of course we're going to get the plugs in here. The website is landmonkey.blogspot.ca, and of course, please follow us, Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, at LandMonkeyGC. There's always something new coming up at LandMonkeyGC. And on Facebook, we're Team LandMonkey, and of course, every week we try and get a new video out, Land Monkey's Geocaching Adventures. So just search Land Monkey, one word, on YouTube. You will definitely find us. Terry, how about you guys?
Yeah, we are everywhere. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, we are in Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Google+, Vimeo, anywhere and everywhere. So I recommend that if you're wanting to find us on our social media hotspots, to go to the exploregoldcountry.com website, and in the top right-hand corner we have all of our social media icons, and that's where you're going to find us.
Very good. How about you, Bad Cop?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at CachingNW, Facebook.com CachingNW, and of course Google Plus at google.com/plus CachingNW. And now we have a page on the website dedicated to your host of this very podcast. So head over to CachingNW.com/host to read our bios and find out all the links that we just mentioned.
That's right. Well, and you can head over to geocaching.com too. That's probably a good place to go if you like this hobby. All right. Hey, well, listeners, we want to thank you once again for taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. Remember that you can be a part of this show by calling 253-693-TFTC and leaving us a comment, asking us a question, or, hey, mailing us a gold nugget you found any time of the day or night. And, of course, you can email us at feedback@cachingnw.com. Also, your support helps to keep quality shows coming. If you liked this show or any of our other quality shows, please click the Patreon link on the cachingnw.com website. This show is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Copy all rat, 2016 by Chris Umbenauer.
I gotta let you stop. I gotta stop you from doing it. And we are officially clear of the recording. Now, Terry, we go on and do a little something we like to call
The after show.
The after show. It's a time where we get through some of the Q&A that we didn't get a chance to talk about, or just bring up things that, you know, make absolutely no sense.
Perfect. Let's do this.
So let's start off with Three Hams in a Rose. I think you know him. He says, calf brain soup. Click, closes hangout session.
Oh, come on. Terry said it's interesting.
I've tried the other end. I've tried oxtail soup.
One end of the cow to the other. That's funny.
4x4, that's a piece of wood, right?
Mm-hmm.
Says Limax.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot slower way to get up.
Well, they make
roads.
wonderful fence posts. Our good friend G-Slink, or Gary, is starting a new podcast, folks. It's called Geocache Talk. And that's going to be kicking off here soon. I've had some chats with him about what's going on, so I'm going to be on one episode. Jay, you're going to be on an episode or two?
I have been asked to join in an episode in July, so I just have to. I did promise I'm going to check my calendar tonight and get back to Gary, and I haven't done that yet, so I'm a very naughty monkey.
Yeah. So, Gary, yes, he's going to do it. Don't worry about the date. I'm just committing.
I will definitely be on the podcast. Yeah. We'll figure out when.
Gary, go ahead and tell us when you guess the first podcast will be launching, and we'll announce that. Let's see. Doug Jones says, according to Project GC, my log similarity is 42%. I need to do better on my glowing. Well, he's given us a whole bunch of the machine logs. We still have a couple of those to catch up on.
Indeed.
The machine series. I think you answered this, Terry, but Wet Coaster says, how many of the geocaches are accessible if you don't have a 4x4? Maybe the better way to answer it is, how many do you need a 4x4 for?
Yeah, off the top of my head, I would say you would really need them for 10. You would need. Otherwise, I mean, there's one very tricky one called Penesc and Eskers, and that one's very near Kelowna. And you can take a regular car just so far and then hike the extra kilometer if you're not crazy and think my car will fit through here, and just try to take it and go and drown your car. I've taken a truck through there, and on the way back out found the bumper to my truck. Didn't quite realize that it had fallen off, but noticed that it wasn't there on the road on the way down. So that's a naughty road that nobody really enjoys, but yeah, the view is worth it. It's got a really cute little lake at the end. Make sure you have bug spray for that one. But yeah, I'd say that there's probably 10 of our GeoTour geocaches that you need 4x4. A really great thing is we have a Facebook page called Ash Cache Community Cachers. And so many of cachers that are heading out to those long-distance geocaches that already have a 4x4 will post, hey, I'm heading to Lytton Crazy geocache, that you need a 4x4, and I really want some company. And so people post those types of things on there, and you can just, if you're in the know and you stay tuned to that Facebook page, or if you really want to go and check out one of those caches, you can always post on there too, like, gosh, I've only got 5 left of the Gold Country Geo Tour caches to do. Can somebody help give me a ride? I can almost guarantee you that there's somebody nearby that wants to go and do it again, or hasn't been out there yet.
Very cool. That's awesome to hear that. I didn't know that group existed. That is super cool. I have to subscribe to that one. I would add to that, our vehicle isn't a 4x4, but it does have a high clearance. And so I would say your estimate on the number is probably about right, because there's a couple where we've made it up, but for everybody. But there's definitely a couple where we've driven to a certain point and said, no, there's just no way. And I think it's seasonal too.
Yes, we're very careful about that, because if it's muddy, you don't want to be driving it. If it's snowy, you wouldn't want to be driving it. But yeah, sometimes even you can drive it. If you did have an excellent 4x4 vehicle, if you had monster, huge, humongous tires, you could go and drive it. But then you're wrecking the road for the people that come when the mud does dry up. So yes, there is some that we highly recommend that are seasonal caches that you visit in the peak season.
Yeah, just to add to that, again, for any of the listeners who are listening to the after show, buy the books, because it is super worth it. There is so much information, including very detailed descriptions, not only of what the access roads are like, but how to get to them. Because some of them, perhaps it's a named Forest Service road, but it's not a labeled Forest Service road. So the descriptions and the directions on the book are fantastic. So you guys, Terry, you guys did an amazing job on that.
Thank you. Yeah, and another thing to keep in mind too is Forest Service roads, they changed. They're very easy to make, and they're very easy to just stop being utilized too. So if we say it's the 3rd road, the year when we made it, when we hit it, that's where it was. And that's what's so great too about when we have very persistent cachers that come to find our geocaches. So they'll say, you know what, it looks like a new road has been built. You kind of need to change it on geocaching.com, and you know what, we send a maintenance guy out there, we verify that is actually correct, and we'll change it online, and we'll let people know that it's now the fourth left.
Fantastic. The bad cop.
Land Monkey, I have to run.
Okay.
Go pick someone up, but feel free to continue talking here. I'm only going to be gone for a few minutes. I'll try to see if I'll jump back in, but it's completely up to you.
All right. Well, I'm good to keep going. It looks like we've got a bit more content here in the Q&A. We can go through that. Terry, you all right to hang out for a little longer?
Betcha.
All right.
I'm here for the people.
There you go. Hey, Limax asked a question: would an ATV work as well as a 4x4?
In many cases, yes. Just double check that those type of recreation vehicles are allowed on those trails. Many times they are marked. If you're unsure, just give us a shout, give us an email, and we can let you know. But ATVs are used quite frequently on our geocaching trails, most of them anyways.
Fantastic. All right, I'm taking a look through the Q&A. Three Hams in a Row has a great question for you, Terry. He says he'd love to come and do Gold Country, as would his wife. They're based out of Vancouver, but their boys, 9 and 12, aren't that keen. So he'd like to know if he can drop his boys off with you for the weekend, Terry.
Does he want them back at the end?
I'm sure you could put them to work.
Yeah, you have to feed and water them, right?
Oh, that's too funny. Nice. So what else have we got here? Just some advice about vehicles to take or not to take. Yeah, Corolla is probably not a good one to take up to a lot of those roads. Although I've seen some people drive some crazy vehicles up some of those roads, but it's not advised.
Yes. And you know what's great too is if you wanted to just come to experience the Geo Tour, if you wanted to just get 24 so that you could have your very own Gold Country Gold Bar, we absolutely have at least half of them are within the communities that are easy walks. I would have to say you could even get to them with baby carriages or in a wheelchair for quite a few of them. So if you plan your trip right, you could absolutely do it in a Corolla if that's all you wanted to do and you didn't ever plan on completely finishing it. That's a big task to take on to begin with. You can definitely get at least a few of our caches in just a very, very basic vehicle. You could even do it on a bicycle, I betcha.
There you go. There you go. Great advice. I think one of the other things I would throw to that is that even some of the ones that aren't right in the communities are on very accessible farm roads or Forest Service roads that are, they're not paved, but they're easy driving. They're well maintained, and the caches are not far off those roads. So a lot of them work really, really well. It's a lot of stuff that's pretty easy to find. One of my favorites was one we did on the last trip, and I've been trying to think through. I mean, there's so many favorite Gold Country caches, but it's Last Chance Soda Lake.
Soda site, yeah.
Soda site. Now, we drove our truck right up into the soda site, which you can do once it's a little drier like we did. I probably wouldn't take a car that last kilometer, but it's an easy walk. But if you get there, and especially if you get there not like in the middle of the day on a weekend, if you get there sort of on the cusp of a weekend or midweek, it's deserted and it's not that far out. And it's just such an amazing site. Terry, did you want to maybe tell people a little bit about that one?
Sure. It's been quite a few years since I've gone to that one, but it is a very, very cool site. It used to be used, people used to, there was companies that used to actually, I don't know what the proper word is, it's not harvest, but they used to actually claim the soda from there, and it's very unique. It's almost like a bunch of, it looks like the surface of the moon. It's all kind of crater-like, and there's all these humongous salty-looking puddles. I'm not describing it to make it sound as beautiful as it is, but
because of the mineral content in the lake that creates the soda on the shores, it has a very unique color to the lake. But then even around the lake, there's all the old cabins and industrial wooden buildings that are just dilapidated and left there that you can walk around and walk through and kind of imagine what it must have been like at the time. And then again, of course, the amazing books give you the history and explain what some of the area was, and so you can really relive the history as you walk through it. It's just spectacular. And hey, Jim, I noticed you're joining us back from Mexico again.
Yeah, I managed to make it in a little bit more. I missed the show, so I can't jump in and comment on anything of the brilliant content that I know took place, but I'm glad I'm able to join you for a few minutes anyway.
Well, that's awesome. The bad cop just had to run out for a few minutes, but we're keeping the after show going, so really glad you're here to join us. Wow. Do you have any questions about Gold Country for Terry?
When can I go?
Come on down.
What little I have heard makes it just sound amazing. I need to get up there. So.
Terry, what's the best time for somebody to visit Gold Country if they'd love to come up?
My favorite time to go geocaching would be in autumn. I feel like you don't have this super crazy heat that we have sometimes. Don't get me wrong, I love the heat, and I love to be warm, but when you're out hiking, it can make it that much more challenging. Mm-hmm. And this spring, I find that there's a few more mosquitoes out than there might be in the fall, and plus I just love the autumn colors.
Autumn's really pretty. It's one of my favorite times of year. So, who knows? Maybe I'll try to get up there.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point on the colors, because again, unlike right on the coast in BC where it's mostly conifers, in Gold Country there's actually quite a mix in the trees. So you do get some amazing colors up there.
Mm-hmm.
What else do we have here in the Q&A? Limax has done a little bit of estimation. He figures it's just over 2,500 kilometers by road.
Okay.
From between you and Terry, Jim.
Okay.
That's all.
That's all. That's all. So yeah, so this is a record-breaking podcast where we are definitely, from a geocaching perspective, we are definitely covering the entire continent.
It's been fun. And we're still in the same time zone.
And we're still in the same time zone. Yeah. So an entire side of a continent.
That's right.
That's awesome. What do we say here? Oh, Limax shares that geocaching in autumn can be treacherous with the falling leaves being slippery. I guess there's a little bit of extra camo for some of the caches too. Although Gold Country caches aren't small. There's no micros or nanos.
No, that's what makes another thing that makes our geo tour so popular is that there's guaranteed to be some kind of swag inside, unless the caches have been muggled, of course. But they always, once a year, we send our maintenance crew out there. They make sure that the logbooks are good, the pens are good, and that there's something inside for the people to find and to trade. And Another thing that we don't talk about very often is that we have letterboxing clues. So even if you're not very tech savvy, you can still find our geocaches by finding the clue by clue by clue by clue by clue instructions. First of them, don't get me wrong, some of them are somewhat cryptic, I guess you could say. But I think that that's a pretty unique feature for some of the geo tours. We also have something really cool that's called a handy caching rating. So we kind of we've gone along with this system that was set up by handycaching.com that gives people a pretty clear indication of, is it wheelchair accessible? Is it maybe height restricted? All those types of things. So people with varying disabilities know if they can make it to find a geocache.
That's very cool. And again, just all the more reason to just spend a little bit of money and buy the books.
Yeah, it makes a difference to us. It makes sure that we're able to keep the geo tour going, because if we're not able to keep up the maintenance and the quality of the service of the geo tour, then it just doesn't have the je ne sais quoi that it has right now, and that's what keeps us going, is the purchase of the guides. So yeah, and they're worth it. It's like you said. I mean, a lot of people have said, you know what, I printed off all of the pages, and I really wish that I had just bought the books. Yeah. Because in the end, it's not all that expensive. It goes to somewhat of a good cause, I guess you could say. We're not exactly charity, but it keeps the geo tour going.
Cool. Well, if I ever make it up there, I plan to make it a three-pronged assault. I will watch this podcast that I missed tonight and learn what you talked about. I will buy the book, and, well, I plan to take a land monkey or two with me if I come, so.
Might as well have an experienced guide, right?
Yeah.
And pick up a Taste of the Valley guide as well. They sell them at the Bailey House Visitor Center in Merritt, so, yeah.
Good
for all
advice.
those great recipes.
There you go. Yeah, you missed that part of the show, Jim. But yeah, the Taste of the Valley is another geocaching series closer in and around the town of Merritt, with some good quality caches and some neat locations. But again, the book shares, while a little bit of history, it also has a recipe, sort of a per cache recipe that some of the youth in the area learned when they were putting the book together, working with some of the elderly in the area. Kind of a neat idea.
Yeah, very neat.
So yeah. So hey, what's going on in Mexico?
Oh, not a heck of a lot. We went out to dinner tonight. Like I said, we been just spending time with family. My wife, my father-in-law lives down here, and my wife has not visited with her dad in person for, gosh, almost 10 years. So it's been really good to get down here and reconnect with family and stuff. So, technology is wonderful nowadays with FaceTime and Skype and Hangouts and all those things, but there's nothing like coming down in person and seeing family again in person. So.
Absolutely. Hey, just as we're plugging the books, Terry, I did see that Limax wrote in the Q&A and said I may need to get those books, even though it'll be a long time before I can get there. They sound fascinating, and I would say even if you're not going after the caches right away, just reading through the history of the area and some of the stories of the pioneers that they're amazing. How did you guys do the research, or do you know the story behind how the research was gathered for some of those stories, Terry?
I do, yes. For those of you who don't know, we had a significant amount of funding through Western Economic Diversification, Northern Development Initiative Trust, Southern Development Initiative Trust, and Southern Interior Beetle Action Coalition. So a lot of money, not only that, but the communities all put forward some money because they felt that this was a groundbreaking way of bringing visitors into the area. So between the two phases, I believe it was around $700,000 went in. Yeah, exactly. I saw your eyebrows go up. Yes. So it helped a lot for us to be able to hire researchers to tell the most important stories, or maybe the most unique stories, or just stories that we could actually very much sink our teeth into, that we knew were factual, because obviously you definitely hear some stories and you think, wow, I can't wait to tell that one, and then you find out that you just heard it in a barber shop and it's not exactly all that true. So we paid some contractors to definitely research and to write all of the stories. So I think all told, we probably had, I'm going to say 30 writers between the two books, because there were some people that just really wanted to tell one story. There were some people that, whether it would be about their family or something that they were really very passionate about. So that's how we were able to get those stories put together and know that they were true.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that's one of the coolest things. I think Wits End, we've all got stories that we know of through our family histories and oral histories and things like that go back generations. And one of the things that I found most fascinating is the fact that they've been able to, through this research that Terry was sharing about, they've been able to go back through and pull those stories, check the facts, pull out a lot of the data, and just bring this together in a well-written. It's not just a dry read. Like every page for every cache, it's just really interesting. Whether, like I said earlier, whether you're more focused on the geology of the area. And Terry, actually, it was another question. The books, they're kind of broken up a little differently. That's my understanding of them?
Yes, so they all have themes that go along with them. I think that I'm fairly certain that both of them have the pioneer aspect to them. The newest book, the Phase 2 book, has film, feature film locations. I know that there's one feature called Rails and Trails and that type of thing. Geological wonders. So if you really only wanted to hit up those specifics because that was really what piqued your interest, then you could. It's color coordinated even. That's how organized we are. You could just find those ones that you were really, really super interested in, and just go and find those specific ones. Maybe your significant other only wants to see the feature films or the geological wonders, and so you just go and find those ones.
Very cool. All right. Let me take a quick look through the Q&A, see what else we got in here. There's lots of little notes in there. Oh, Gary, the host for Geocache Talk, said the 6th month, that's June. Oh, this is June. We're in June. All right. What day is it?
It snuck up on all of us, didn't it?
It did. It really did. June 12th is the first episode of Geocache Talk, and Daryl W4 will be the first guest. So that's awesome. Looking forward to that. Thanks for sharing that, Gary. I'm not sure what this means, but 3 Hams in a Rose has posted that Land Monkey can be found on the FBI Most Wanted list. I don't know what that's in context of, so that's interesting. All right. What else have we got here? Hi, Jasper. What have we got here? Gold Country Cougar Point. Oh, we've got the GC code. Brian Lang shared that for Cougar Point, which is GC3PB9D. That's a stop looking at. That's a great cache. We were talking about that one earlier. What else is going on? Oh, Brian Lang's looking to see if anybody wants to drive him up to Stoyama.
Stoyama is an incredible geocache that that's a very hard drive. I did it in my SUV. It is doable. You want to do it with some clearance and possibly one of those guard things underneath of your vehicle. I told everybody in the truck that we did have one of those guards when in fact we did not. Stoyama is gorgeous, and you have to check out the Con Air plane crash site that is just beyond there. It's not a Gold Country cache, but I think that the Gold Country cache was set up specifically to kind of maybe lead you on to continue that hike. It's another hour hike beyond the Gold Country one, but if you're planning your trip, make sure you make that extra hour there, extra hour back to the plane crash site. It's pretty crazy. I think that the plane crash happened in either the 70s or the 80s, and the plane wreckage is still there.
Wow. I'm just trying to pull this one up. 1V. So it's GC 1V20G. Yeah, I'm just going to pull this one up because I can't remember if we've done this one or not. I don't think we have. Let's take a look. Nope, we have not done that one yet. Let's take a look at the map, see where that is. Oh, look at that. Yeah, that is way out there.
Yep, it is.
Yet, there's a whole lot of caches out there.
Yes, I think that Nitronarch set up quite a few for an event to lead the way to the Con Air site. Am I right?
Of course he did. No, sorry, I just laughed. Because we found a trend when we were on our last trip up to Gold Country. And the trend was, if you go to a Gold Country cache, that's a fairly decent hike to it, and then you hike another kilometer, you'll find a Nitronarch cache.
Yes, and he might have the disclaimer that you might die finding some of his caches. They tend to be a little bit on a cliff or some sort of a... But yeah, I think that it's great that he sets up those extra little... we call them breadcrumb trails that help continue to lead people to our Gold Country Geo Tour caches. So we're very happy for his support, even if they are treacherous along the way.
Yeah, actually, he's a great guy. We've bumped into him at a couple of events. Great guy and quite the geocacher, that's for sure.
Yeah, he goes on a lot of adventures.
We were laughing because we were figuring that that Nitronarch is actually crazier than the Land Monkeys when it comes to his geocaching adventures. Some of the stuff he's done. I think he's the one who did the Lookout. Go ahead, sir.
He's done like Nepal and stuff. Like he's done like high elevation crazy ones.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. But I was gonna say even in Gold Country he did. Him and somebody else, I can't remember who it was, maybe Tycoon Auto, the two of them did like the Lookout in the middle of the night. It's like that.
Yep.
Has he driven into a lake?
Oh, I'm sure he has.
They tried to get me to do Tycoon Auto, and Nitronarch tried to get me to do some Logan Lake ones after an event, and then they sent me a photo of the bear that they saw along the way, and I said, I didn't go with you guys. They were like, he was fine.
That's fantastic. What's End? Did you have any comments or questions for Terry while you're joining us here in the?
Well, I'm kind of out of the loop, and I'm sure you've covered a lot of it, but trying to kill time until the bad cop can come back and put the show to bed, I'm sure. I did notice, not related to Terry or Gold Country, but you've got to have the podcast award tonight for best scary shadows on the wall behind you with your new lighting setup there.
It's I finally went out and bought a good night, Brylang. Brylang just posted that he's off to go pack, and obviously pack for the event that Terry's going to be at.
Nice.
Well, the BCGA AGM EIEIO.
Oh, I see.
But yeah, so I was saying, finally went out and bought a light. Found a very cool little LED-based work lamp that does AC or has internal batteries, so has multiple functions there for different occasions. But I haven't had time yet to set up any filters or reflectors or anything for it, so it's bright. But thank you.
Oh,
I
it's all good.
appreciate the shadow.
You need some like bumper stickers, license plates, and signs for the wall, right?
Well, you know what? I was toying with two different ideas. One is either green screen behind me, and then I can just put anything up there, or do the whole chroma key thing. Or the other option is to follow suit with what you've done and just suspend something up off the ceiling and swing it down. The only problem is
there you go.
I have a pot light up here that is in just the wrong place for me to do something like that. So, but the green screen idea might be fun. Then I could have sharks coming at me from behind while I'm podcasting.
Years ago, when the bad cop was on vacation, I filled in for him on your Gearheads, and I was at work, and there happened to be an extra classroom video projector laying around, and I think I put in I dug up a 10-minute beach scene on YouTube of crashing waves and projected it behind me. It wasn't quite green screen, but it was interesting video backdrop that way.
Still works. That's awesome. I love it. All right. What else have we got in the Q&A here?
I can't see the Q&A, so.
No worries. I think we've covered most of the stuff going through here.
But I'm sure it was brilliant.
Iham says he has a question for you, Terry. He's asking if this series merits a look.
If this series what?
Does this series merit a look? It's a
look?
pun. It's a pun on the name of one of the towns in Gold Country. Does it merit a look?
Merit.
It must be over my head.
I am like cerebral humor.
Does it merit a look? Oh my gosh, I was hearing you wrong. Okay, yes. Well, I would have to say so. Yes. Of course, merit a look.
Yeah, Merritt's a cute little town. Actually, Merritt's maybe one of the biggest towns in Gold Country, isn't it?
It is our very biggest, and then Lillooet is our next biggest.
There you go. There you go. We lost your video there, Jim. Not sure.
Oh, I'm just giving my arm a rest from holding my phone at arm's length, and reorganizing here a little bit, trying to find a way to support the phone without killing my arm. It's all about me, but.
Well, that's true. That's true. Well, I don't know if the bad cop is coming back to join us or not. I don't think I can actually stop the podcast. Or the podcast already stopped, but stop the video feed. But and it's getting late, 10:15. So if anybody has to drop off, no worries. Go ahead and do that. We've covered off everything in the Q&A. Terry, we've used up more than enough of your time. We really, really appreciate you spending so much time with us tonight and telling us so much about Gold Country and Taste of the Valley and.
Happy to. Thank you so much, and I hope I can come back a little bit before our event to give people a little bit more of a taster of what's going on that weekend, and hopefully entice just a few more late stragglers.
That's awesome. Well, I'll tell you what, Terry, keep in touch with me. You've got my email address. When you feel like you've got some info that you want to share, send me an email, and we'll get you scheduled in.
Awesome. Sounds great.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Terry. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a great night.
You too.
Yeah, it was good to see you, even if it was brief for me.
What did they say? Buenas noches.
There you go.
Good night.
Night. Doodaloo.
Okay, now we can just talk about her. No, because we're still on the air. No,
We're still. But that's awesome. That's now recorded for posterity. Yeah, man.
I probably shouldn't
So-
be too loud. I think the rest of my family has all gone to sleep,
There you go.
except for my son who's on a couch somewhere behind me because he has the living room air mattress and he's waiting for me to finish up and turn the lights out. So
Well, folks, those if there is anybody, I can't even tell if there's still anybody live watching or in the Q&A. I don't have that access. Oh, we've got a all night from Geocache Talk from Gary. Yeah, well, it may be all night.
it just
Hopefully
might
everything's
be.
going okay with the bad cop.
Yeah.
He said he had just had to run out quickly. That was 16 minutes ago, but I
It
guess
was a while ago. He texted me before I came on and said that he was stepping out, but you guys were still on. So
yeah, that was a good episode though. That was a great talk with Terry. Man, I love the Gold Country series and getting out there. So yeah, Wits End. If you're, hey, there he is. So if you're ever
Ooh.
planning to make a road trip up and you're gonna try and hit some of those, definitely I would say.
boy, I sure would like to. Yeah.